Welcome to She's the Boss, the podcast where female wellness entrepreneurs talk ambition, money, and ownership out loud. I'm your host, Lee McSwan, a certified holistic nutritionist turned wellness business coach. This is where conversations are unfiltered, the rules of entrepreneurship get rewritten, and nothing is off limits. Money, motherhood, friendships, legacy, wealth, power, and what it really takes to build a life and business on your terms.
Alyssa, welcome to She's the Boss. How are you doing today?
Oh, so good. Thank you so much for having me. This is fantastic.
Amazing. I want to know, since you are a fitness person, you've been in the nutrition space for so many years, what is your biggest pet peeve when it comes to either food or fitness?
Oh, that is a great question to start with. Okay, so let's start food. My biggest pet peeve, honestly, from a nutrition standpoint, and I'm assuming this is where we're going, but when people cut one food group completely out of the diet without, I guess, clinical verification. So for me, they're like, oh, the new trend is we don't eat, carbs, because everybody picks on carbs. When they cut them out completely, and then they, end up with their keys in the freezer because they can't remember where they're going or what they're doing. So that's definitely the nutrition side. Fitness side, people tend to find that they need to die on a treadmill for hours and consider that fitness or healthy. Or so my true passion is helping people kind of debunk those small myths that we can make fitness fun, we can make it relatable, we can make it your own journey so that you actually look forward to doing something and not trying to die on a treadmill for decades and hours and all the things. So that is my two to get started.
I think the whole cardio piece is one of my biggest pet peeves because I'm definitely not a fitness guru by any means. You have to pretty much drag me into a gym. But I think the cardio as a weight loss solution really stems from the fact that people feel like they're doing so much and they typically break out in a sweat easier or quicker on a treadmill than they would lifting some dumbbells. But
Right.
I agree with you. I think it's one of my pet peeves as well too, because not only are people doing too much cardio, but then they're also not doing the thing that they actually need to do, especially women, which is weight training.
1000%.
We need to lift heavy shit.
Yes. Pick it up and put it down. That is absolutely, I need a shirt. I know there's shirts out there. This says lift heavy shit. That's exactly what needs to happen. And there's just so much value in that. And I'm sure we'll dive into it more, but yes, we're on the same page 100%.
Yeah. And even with the cutting of food groups, I think that people get caught up with these health trends because of social media is to blame for one, but they just don't understand nutrition and food and individual chemistry.
Right.
Do you agree?
Oh, 100%. I don't, the hard part, and especially, and you know this really well, when people don't fully understand like I said, the science behind having carbs, the science behind healthy fats. That's another one that people like to cut out and say, oh gosh, I don't need it. And of course, if you were born anywhere near the 90s and the early 2000s, everybody cut out fat. Everybody thought if you ate fat, it made you fat. And so yeah, just really helping people understand that there's a lot of science why we have the nutrition structures that we do. Our bodies need so many things. And when we cut the fat, when we cut those things, especially like fats, we are messing with hormones. And especially as females, no, thank you. Let's not mess with hormones any more than what they already are. They already get messed up a little bit on their own. Let's not add to it. So yeah, so those are some big thoughts that come through.
Yeah, it's such an interesting thing. I keep thinking back to this time when I had no business doing this, but I was actually a judge for a natural nutrition and fitness bodybuilding competition.
And, cool.
Yeah, cool. For the experience, but man, I was a nutritionist at the time, and the way that I looked at it was just an extremist protocol. And even my sister-in-law was doing bodybuilding at the time, and she showed me her food plan, and I was like, who built this for you? And I think it was the trainer, which you're not legally allowed to do here in Canada.
We are neither.
That's different in the States.
Yeah. No, you can't. Yeah, you can't do that. Yeah.
They're not supposed to do that. It was literally 5 food groups. And one of the things that was common with the women that I was judging was they all had
they lost their periods because they didn't have enough fat in their diets.
100%.
So dangerous.
Yep. Yes, it's scary. And to tag into that just a little bit more. So, and especially in that realm, and those who do that and they love it, good for you. But I definitely have a lot of words of caution because once you actually come out of that training and you go back into real life, the body dysmorphia that goes with that can be very dangerous. And also having played so much with dehydration, salt intake, the extreme dieting, those are really hard on your mind space. Like those are very hard to unwire after a while. So yeah, I mean, there's a lot of dedication. And for some people, that's a bucket list goal. They like to say they did a bodybuilding competition and cool, but definitely have some good support when you come through to the other side of that, because it's not just the competition. There's more to that on the other side of that too, coming through that.
Yeah, you make such a good point. And it actually brings me to question what came first. It's like a chicken or the egg situation. Did people come out with disordered eating, or were they prone to disordered eating and found like this was the glorified and celebrated form of putting that disorder on display, so to speak, but in a healthy kind of way. And just the fact that amenorrhea is so common in the industry, that alone should be red flags. And I feel like there needs to be screening in place where they're working with high integrity people that make sure that they don't lose their periods. I think these conversations have to happen in order for the industry to shift. Have you, in your 20 years of being in this industry, have you worked with people of this mindset?
I will be very honest and very transparent. This is an industry because as a person who did have anorexia previously, this is not a road I choose to help in. This is not an avenue I really like to support. I know people and I have people in the industry that do well in it, and I'm happy to refer to those people. But I can unfortunately just see the true hardships of coming through and going through some of those, because like you said, it's celebrated. When you get down to less than 10% body fat for a female, like that's scary. Like there's so many things that people aren't taking into consideration. Your heart, your bones, your bone density, your muscle integrity, your joints. When you take your body to such extremes and you kind of force it to perform in those extremes, I struggle with the morality, not morality, but I guess I just struggle with the why would you want to? I mean, I understand everybody has a goal and that's fair.
Yeah.
But I also I just have true concern for the other side once you get through it.
Yeah. So. And I wonder if, like, as we have conversations like this, which actually bring awareness to the fact that, maybe this isn't normal. Maybe this isn't the best way that we can create champions and create idolization. I wonder if things like the CrossFit challenges are going to start replacing that, even though those are deep in thought as well, too. We don't see the women restricting.
No.
We see excess in other ways, but in terms of food, we're not seeing that extremely dangerous level of deprivation.
Exactly. So piggybacking into this a little bit more. So I actually do CrossFit. I've actually coached CrossFit. So this is actually like my love language. But the reason why it is my love language is because of this. This is a very true statement. This is a place where women are celebrated and encouraged to be strong. They're encouraged to be healthy. They're encouraged to eat appropriately. Like you can't perform a max deadlift when you have 300 calories operating in the system. Like that doesn't math, right? And so I think that really does, it inspired me to be able to say, oh yeah, I can pick that up. I can lift that. I can move that. I can functionally still, do a lot of really, really cool things. And I think it's really challenging, not only just the nutrition side of it, but keeping women healthy and stronger and keeping the joints healthy, keeping their bones healthy as they age. So this isn't just something that you can do in your 20s or 30s. I'm 43. I just turned 43. And so my now goal is now what can I do to sustain all of my strength and all the things that I have created over the last 43 years? How do I take that to 110? Like, what can I continue to do? And I know just from the science and the research, the strength training partnered with good nutrition is what's going to take me there. That's what's going to keep me moving. That's what's going to keep me. I have two teenage boys that are 14 and 16. So I have to be able to play football in the backyard. I got to be able to take them to the trampoline park. So yeah, so it really is that passion, that drive to stay healthy and health minded. So that's really where my passion is.
Yeah. Okay. So we're very similar. I'm 41 and I also have two teenage boys. My youngest just became a teenager like 2 weeks ago, and I can't even talk about it because I'll start crying like a baby and ruin my mascara. But it's so true. Like I said at the beginning of the show, I'm not somebody that naturally loves fitness, to be perfectly honest. It's really intentional for me to get out there, but I'm noticing now, because once you hit your late 30s and 40s, your perception of time really comes in full in front of your face, right? Like you can't ignore it. And I keep thinking like I'm 40 and in 20 years, that means I'm 60. And then my boys are this age. And like, I want to be the best freaking grandmother that ever existed, who is unstoppable, who's like piggybacking those kids around like crazy. And for me, the motivating factor is the longevity piece of it. Whereas if I'm being perfectly honest, in my 20s, when I was hitting the gym, hitting the treadmill, it was strictly vanity. And
100%.
Back then, it was the 90s supermodel look where everyone should be skinny. We didn't celebrate biceps. We didn't celebrate glutes that were popping. And now it's just, there's a different driving force behind it.
I love it. Yeah.
It's like, how do I keep my bone density? How do I keep my muscle mass? Because talk to us about how exercise and strength training in particular is the fountain of youth. That is the longevity. That is the biohack.
Yes. Oh my gosh. Okay, we're going to totally geek out for a second. So this is really fascinating. So I do a lot of research, and a lot of my continuing education is in the longevity field. So I do follow a lot of the really cool longevity specialists. If you don't follow Dr. Gabrielle Lyons, hashtag, you probably should do that. So she is a mastermind of basically pushing out information, and she herself focuses on the science behind a longevity piece of how your basically like your lower body, your glutes and hamstrings and your leg strength is what basically kind of gives you your quote calculation for how you're going to age. So the stronger you can keep your body in general, but again, more specifically your leg strength. So think about being able to get on and off the floor, right? I do a lot of work with, this kind of the older population, 65 and older sometimes. And the biggest fear that they have is falling and not being able to get back up off the floor. So, okay, key number one. So I'm thinking forward. I'm thinking of, okay, if I'm 65, I want to be able to get on and off the floor. I want to be able to go up and down the stairs safely. I want to be able to go around and get my groceries from the grocery store. I want to be able to do all of those things. So how do I kind of reverse engineer this situation? So I'm really focused on strength training, leg strength training specifically. I'm also training unilaterally. So that's one side at a time. So right side exercises, left side exercises. So again, we're going to dive a little deeper. So not only is that good for, again, muscle integrity, muscle strength, it's also good for cognitive transitions. So if you're doing one side at a time, that means one side is focusing, one side is resting. So we're also working brain and brain power too. So again, the cognitive side of things. The other one that's really important is grip strength. Is also another good indicator of longevity. So I'm still doing dumbbell work. I'm doing barbell work. I'm doing pull-ups. I'm doing all the things that I can continue to do to continue to maintain good grip strength. So those are some really big factors. And when I do personal training one-on-one with my clients, I have my favorite client of all time, and I still currently work with her. She is 63 years young. She started working out at the age of 55, 56. So so she started her wellness journey in her late 50s, right? So the reason why she started her fitness journey, she saw her mom have 2 strokes and started to develop dementia. And she saw the limitations. She saw the list of medications. She saw the fragility. She saw all of these things unfolding right before her eyes. And she's like, I don't want to do that. But even more importantly, she didn't want her kids to have to navigate taking care of her in that capacity. So She jumped on the bandwagon, and let me tell you, it has been full throttle gas, just all gas, no brakes. And I absolutely love her story for so many reasons. First of all, seeing something and saying, I want to change it for the better. So that in itself is huge. And then also committing the time and the space to being able to grow that has been phenomenal. So when she and I first started working together, we've been working together for about 5 years now. And so when we very first started, the heaviest dumbbell she had was, I think, a 15-pound dumbbell, which is great. Again, everybody has a starting place. So we're going to celebrate the beginning. So in the very beginning, we were doing traditional, again, very, very classic, tried and true exercises that are great for good foundation building. And we did. We've got a solid foundation. And then she asked me one day, she's like, how do I do more? And I was like, oh, I'm here for this.
Yes.
Pick me. So we did. So I was like, okay, let's start with a barbell, excuse me. Let's start with a barbell. And they have women's barbells. So if you have females in the audience, make sure you grab a female bar. They're very specific for female grip. It's great. So I was like, okay, here's what we're going to do. And we're going to do some bumper plates. And so we started learning deadlifts with 10 pounds on a female bar. So that's 45 pounds for the math here. She loved it. She fell in love, head over heels for this. So she was eating this up. We were doing strength training. We were starting to really dive into this. And so then it started to grow. And she's like, okay, well, now what do I do? And I was like, okay, well, she's like, well, how do I test my fitness at the age of 60, right? This was about when she had turned 60, 61. And I was like, cool. I was like, you know what? Game on. They have, I don't know if you guys have Spartan races or other outdoor adventure. Okay, so Spartan. I was like, so Spartan actually has a huge umbrella of different races they offer. And under that umbrella, there is a DECA race that you can do, and it's 10 stations. And I said, well, how about we start training you for this DECA competition? And it's not and I told her, I said, hey, don't forget, like, let's be safe. Let's be smart. We had obviously been working together for a couple of years at this point. So for the record, no, I did not throw her directly
She was
into,
prepped.
we were preparing safely for this because I said, hey, I said, the first time, I just want you to go through it and just learn it. Just learn it. We're not going for time. We're not going for speed. Just learn. How does it feel? And so, oh my gosh, I like created a great, she's just, I mean, I can't even. So she, again, totally ate it up, soaked it all up and was phenomenal. And she's like, oh my gosh, I got to do another one of these. So we're training for, again, DECA, but at the same time, we're simultaneously, she's starting to lift heavier and heavier. And now I think her deadlift 1 rep max is now 195. At 63 years old. Listen,
Oh my God.
when I tell you inspiration, when I tell you drive, when I tell you that's who I want to be, it's her because she really has put the time, the energy, the passion for wanting to be strong. So she actually just recently did another DECA. She's now, of course, we've fallen in love. We've done multiple. I say we. She's done multiple. We've trained together for multiple. She now is one of the top 3 women in the world that is doing what she's doing and competing at a level that she's competing at. And so, like I say, it gives me goosebumps because I mean, just the dedication and the desire to want to not only be healthy, but to age well and to age gracefully and strong and just be able to know that, yeah, she helped her kid move, boxes or moved whatever it was. And she's like, she's like, yeah, I totally did.
She probably embarrassed them.
I know. I told her, I was like, because she has boys that are like mid-20s. And I'm like, well, when are they going to come work out with you? I mean, mom's going to run laps at this point around you. Like, let's be for real.
I love it.
So anyways, all that to say, I think we kind of got a little derailed, but I think my point to that was, yes, there is a lot to longevity and there is a lot to being able to have that kind of inner drive to know that I want to be healthy as I age. I want to be strong as I age and being able to partner that well with good exercise, good nutrition. And it really is the secret. It is that key component to longevity for lifetime.
What would you recommend for somebody like myself who, works from home? A lot of the work that I do is sitting. It's behind my computer, which is probably 90% of the listeners experience as well. We're all building online businesses. It can get really easy to develop bad habits like posture, just getting used to sitting. Or the other thing that I find
which I know exists for a lot of nutritionists, is we'll do one workout in the morning and then for the rest of the day, we're sedentary. So for people like us in the virtual working space, what are some pieces of advice that you could give?
Oh yeah, this is great. This is another piece that I actually do a lot within my wellness coaching. So with that being said, for desk work, a couple of things I like to tell people: put a reminder at the half hour, 15-minute, whatever, and whatever time on your clock fits for your schedule. Set a timer where you just simply get up and do a quick stretch, a quick yoga stretch. If you just hop on, YouTube, there's literally a 5-minute YouTube yoga stretch that you can do at your desk. So you're still moving. You're still, kind of getting some blood flow going. It's also good for brain. Your brain starts to get tired of just sitting and staring. So it's I call it brain breaks. So your brain gets a break, your body gets a break. So that's the first big one I like to do. In a home office setting, we have a little more flexibility. So there's some things that we can do. We can get a walking pad underneath the desk and do that. And obviously that would go with an adjustable desk. So the desk that can kind of go up and down so that you can change elevation literally throughout the day. So you can be standing for the first half hour. You can be seated for the next half hour. You can be walking for 10 minutes at the top of every hour. So again, variety and keeping that kind of movement throughout the day is also key. If you're not able to do a walking pad, if you also hop on Amazon or, a quick shop, there's the little pedal bikes. They're literally just little pedals that go under your desk, and they're great. While you're typing away, it still continues to move that blood flow throughout the day. And again, that's another great brain break as well, just pedaling every 5 or 10 minutes on there. So those are some little ones. One of my favorites, especially if you do a lot of seated work, is actually getting one of those big physio balls and using that as your office chair. I don't know if you've sat on one of those for an extended amount of time.
I have. Core stabilizer, that's for sure.
I do caution people when they first start that. I'm like, listen, only do 5 or 10 minutes at a time. Because if you do more than 5 or 10 minutes, your low back might feel a little spicy the next day.
Right.
So take a 5 or 10 minute, just kind of an interval just to sit in that. But it really does good for good posture, like you mentioned, good core. So in that position where we're kind of in that rounded shoulder position, shoulders are forward, chin is down, we do find ourselves in that position. So taking those few seconds and few minutes just to open up and stretch everything back out for posture. When you're seated in an office chair, think about leaning all the way back, pressing the shoulder blades against the back of the chair so that really, really opens up that chest. Just allow that blood flow to move through. And then if at all possible over lunch breaks, take a 10-minute walk outside in the sunshine. It does wonders for you. I know if it's obviously weather, it can be variable, but at the same time, a 5 or 10 minute, just stepping outside, even getting some fresh air, just moving around a little bit, obviously is going to have a huge impact for you.
I love walking and I have dogs, so I have to do it several times a day.
Perfect.
I've actually found that it is one of the best ways for me to get clarity in my business. If there's something I'm trying to work through, being at my desk, it never happens for me. Very rarely will something come through. But if I just throw on anything like shoes, it doesn't even matter if they're slides or if they're runners, I just go out and I start walking, something comes through to me, or I get an answer that I was searching for. And I've started now not bringing noise with me. Like before,
good idea.
Right? I would always be the one listening to all the podcasts and all the audiobooks and just learning, consuming. And I found that it wasn't helping my ideas flow organically. And once I stopped bringing my phone with me, or if I do bring my phone, I'm using it to voice note the ideas to myself. Is there any, I'm sure there's a plethora of science behind this, but can you kind of explain it for us?
Sure. So there's actually a couple of things at play here. So yes, the blood flow, we're thinking of blood flow, getting fresh blood flow, fresh oxygen going through the system. Again, like you said, it's actually really key that you said that you don't take the extra noise with you, because now you're actually able to really focus in on other things, like the actual sounds of like the birds, the sounds of, the wind blowing. Like we are such consumer minded. Like you said, we are always taking in information. And when we get so system overloaded, it really does cause that burnout so quickly. So yes, taking that, just the walk, just the fresh air, just all of that into consideration is huge. The other part to this is actually getting outside into the sunshine. So I work specifically with a functional medicine provider, and she does an amazing job of explaining the importance of actually getting out and getting into the sunshine for many reasons, many, many reasons. But capturing the sun and its natural light through an unfiltered sun lens, unfiltered through any part, basically like sunglasses, things like that. When you're actually able to capture all of that natural light and that natural presence, you're doing a lot for your system. You're actually resetting your circadian rhythm, so you're able to sleep better. You're actually able to help stabilize and again keep the metabolism moving through your entire system at a much more even pace. You'll notice your blood sugars will actually be able to stabilize after a walk. So there's just so many like tiny things that can go on that are so supported with just a quick 10-minute outdoor walk. And again, if you do have a favorite podcast or you've had a stressful day and you need something, absolutely take it. But yeah, just taking that minute to pause, take in the natural light, allow the fresh air to move through the system. It just, the amount of just stress management in that place and in that space just takes your heart rate down to a more comfortable level. Your brain is able to relax at a different capacity. And again, that sunlight coming through the unfiltered system is absolutely huge. So I definitely, I love that idea. And it's one that it's a suggestion I often recommend. And then people kind of go, well, I mean, it's just 10 minutes. Does 10 minutes even count? And I'm like, absolutely.
Oh God, yeah,
Absolutely.
you can feel it.
Right. And you feel like a whole different person stepping out of the door and coming back through the door. It's like a night and day difference. So yeah, no, it's exciting. It's exciting.
It's also a really great parenting hack if you're parenting teens. Get out.
Yeah. Or I send them out for a walk. I'm like, somebody, we need to move energy. Let's move some energy. I've actually done that multiple times where I'm like, you know what? The three of us just need to go for a walk. We're going to go take in some sunshine. And I mean, I have both of my boys. I have one that does cross country and one that's in basketball. And so they move, which is great. But I'm like, sometimes we just need like the sunlight and just the interaction of no noise. And we take off it without any headphones, without any extras, and we all go for that walk. So it really does change.
It changes everything. And right now it's finally starting to get a little bit warmer out. It's springtime, and we've started getting out for after dinner walks again, which feels
perfect.
It feels like it's like the best medicine. Yeah. It really is.
It is.
And
it is.
How do you encourage? My boys are naturally very active as well too, but how do you stay fit as a family? What are some of your pieces of advice for making sure that our teens are not disconnected from us? I think I could do a whole TED talk on this. I'm just going to tangent for a minute, but
yeah, go for it.
I was talking to a couple of other moms about this, and we're trying to normalize not being separated from our teens. And when you have this idea that the family unit's actually designed to stay together, like, yes, they're designed to go, but they're also designed to come back like a little boomerang. Primally, that's what they're supposed to do. And when we look at media and movies and TV shows, I've started paying attention to this, and I even say it to my boys because we still do a Friday night movie night together. It's like our ritual. It's interesting to see how we're primed and programmed to believe that teenagers live in their bedrooms, doors are closed, slam the door, they're gone from the time they get home from school. They'll quickly eat dinner, not talk to anybody, head down. They're on their devices. And I just think that, I don't know, my little conspiracy mind is like, well, there's a reason for that. They're trying to destroy the nuclear family and all these things, right? But we're not going to go down that route. So one of the things that I really try to harness is doing things that my kids like to do that involves movement or sport or outdoor activities. But what are some of the reasons, or what does your family do for staying active together and keeping that tight-knit circle with the fam?
Yeah, I love this. I love that this is your passion. This is, I can totally hear how
it's one of like 5,000.
I love it. And especially because you're right. I think that we have such a societal portrayal that yes, and I don't want to like stereotype, but boys especially, like they just come in and they just sit down in the game and they don't care. And I love the idea of having that nuclear family back in its homeostasis position. Like it really wants to stay there. And so we are very intentional with trying to help find ways that not only they like to do and that they like to enjoy, but we try to keep that passion with all of us. So we encourage them to have their own individual sport. So from the word go, the boys have done different things. They've been able to pick and choose what their passion is. And we just kind of ebb and flow with that independently. But collectively, so I mentioned the DECA races earlier. So the fun part of the DECA is it's actually available for all age groups. So we have done so many different DECAs with different pairings between, so my husband and I, Chris and I'll pair up, the boys will pair up and do a race together. We've actually tag teamed it where like Cooper and Chris will run and then Colt and I will run. So we've really kind of made it like a mix and match. Like, okay, who wants to partner up this time? So, I mean, albeit we are not really in it for like the true competition part of it in that sense, but we all show up, we all train together, we all, do those, we work on, family healthy eating habits. And I don't want to go too far down the rabbit hole, but especially with youth and nutrition and sports nutrition, that's a big topic. And we try to navigate that very carefully because both of our boys have very different needs in that nutrition arena. And so that has actually been a real part of our conversation. So again, I have a track guy who runs 10 plus miles a week and can literally eat, an entire pizza and, be fine. Not really, but you know what I mean? Like, and then, we have our other son who, does play basketball, but it's only like a few nights a week. It's not every night of the week. So we have to just be very careful navigating, okay, here's healthy choices. Here's how to eat a healthy, well-balanced meal for a healthy person. So we really do try to focus on what does a healthy plate look like and a healthy plate when you're, looking to train for something. So we really do try to keep the pathways of good conversation. We try to keep, again, our training. They see us training. We see, they see us doing the things. They see us making healthy choices when we open the refrigerator door. And again, it probably might be a little overkill, but they definitely know exactly how to pack their own lunch for a healthy protein. If you ask them right now, I'm like, okay, what goes in your lunch? They're like a healthy protein, a healthy vegetable, a healthy fruit. And I get, they could pick out chips or whatever. But again, trying to make it as a real life and real time experience for them too. But yes, we really do try to make it as cohesive, family focused as we possibly can. So that is definitely a fun goal. And I'm so glad you brought that up. What a fun topic to chat about.
Yeah, it is. It's so important. And I feel like you'll resonate with this. You probably have as well too. I've raised my kids intentionally by setting examples from, and obviously I'm an extremely flawed person living in 2026 and I literally screw up on a weekly basis. I always joke and say like, I do my best and I will still pay for your therapy down the road.
100%.
Like,
yes,
I know. I know I'm not perfect. I don't claim to be. And there's definitely days where I lose my mind and things go haywire. But just having that example and normalizing healthy food. I think this actually goes back to the conversation around teens and just separating from the family and being grumpy and miserable and not wanting to talk to anybody, but also just normalizing that teens also just don't eat fast food 7 days a week, right?
No, right.
Like living in that. Yeah. It's hard though, as they get older, like they have their own money, they have like accessibility that they didn't have before. It can be a bit of a challenge. And I know there's been times where like my kids tell me what they've been given at school for doing good work, which kills
that's
me.
A whole nother, that's
like food is not a reward. Food is not a reward. And so they'll tease me and be like, look what we had. And I'm just like, oh my God, my nutritionist heart dies, but my mama heart is happy knowing that there is balance there, even though not really, but there's that boomerang effect of like, okay, you can go out into the world and you can eat the crappy things that I would never bring into the house, but then you're coming home and you're having home cooked everything.
Right.
And that feels really, really good. When you work with clients, are
Mhm.
you having similar conversations? Like you're working with the individual, but the individual is always part of a family unit. So
Yes.
you've had 20 years experience in this business. What are some pieces of advice that the other nutritionists listening could take away when they're working with clients who also then are like, well, my family, my kids, my husband, whatever the
Right.
situation is? How do you navigate that?
Oh my gosh, so this is perfect. So I actually literally have a client right now in real time. I am very much working with, and this is actually a part of my motivation. And I think we'll have some information posted after the show notes and the show information for because of this, I have created a 6-week nutrition template guide support for just this exact topic. So for the busy mom, for the busy person who is, tired of having to create a meal for themselves, a meal for the family, what does that even look like? How do I even put that together? Why do I have to choose my meal and why do they have to have a different meal? Like that's real, right? And I get this
Yeah.
so many times. The reality is, yes, we can make meals healthy. We can make them simple. We can make them accessible for the entire family. So yes, in that program, it is going to be 6 weeks, but we start with the very basics. We start with the foundations. What does a whole meal look like? And just like we talked about with the kids' school lunches, it's a starting with a healthy protein. We have our healthy carbohydrate. We have our healthy fruit or vegetable with it, and we have a well-rounded plate. I also grew up in the South, in the Southeast part of the United States, which is where like all the casseroles and the deep fried foods and
The
like
comforts.
all the comfort foods of your soul live there, I swear. However, obviously we have, found out in life that that's not the healthiest option. So how do
Bummer.
you, right. All the deep fried things are not the best choices. But okay, so how do we make soulful foods? How do we make those feel and taste real and rich and to what you're looking for? And feeding the entire family. So yes, there is a little bit of, again, you can either involve the family or, you can, however you feel like you want to do that. But learning the basics, knowing what goes on a healthy plate, I think is phase one. I think if we take a zoom out and we look at just by and large, at least the American diet is very heavy carb centric, heavy fast food. So when we really kind of dial it back and we actually provide stable information that says, here's just a baseline to start from, and that gives people the tools and resources to be able to build, oh, yeah, my great Aunt Sally has the best meatball recipe. So I can take that meatball recipe and now instead of putting, whatever brown or white rice in it, I can replace that with, a healthier, brown rice. And I can make these substitutions that are still a good choice for me, but it still connects me to, what I really love. Right. So I think just giving people the foundations for that. And then also just providing just again kind of the what's nutrient, what do you need, what are things that your body needs. So giving the education, if you choose to track your food, that's up to you, but I also like to promote mindful eating. So again, having just the mindful side of things, so knowing like what does that look like and how much is a portion, especially here in the United States, our portions are like
Oh my
astronomically,
gosh, it's insane in the
it's
States.
it's wild.
You
Like
guys are on a different level.
it's
You
next
really are.
it's like literally one meal could feed 6 people in another country.
Yeah,
Like, I mean,
it's actually shocking.
it's wild. And to think that, I mean, you can upsize anything you want here. Like you want biggie fries, you got biggie fries. Like, I mean, so, okay. So, and then also, okay. So the other part of it is in real life, in real time, people do have birthdays. They do have celebrations. They do have
Yeah.
anniversaries. So, okay. How do you still incorporate your healthy choices into an everyday situation? So that's also part of the training that I'm offering so that you can still go to, a restaurant and have, your birthday celebration or girls' night. How do you still have real life in real time? Because my true belief is if we start saying, okay, you can't have chocolate cake for the rest of your life, the first thing that comes to your mind is
Oh
how many pieces
God.
of chocolate cake can I
That's all I'm
have?
doing. That's all I'm
I
doing.
know. So instead of saying no to everything, how do we say yes? How do we say, okay, yes, I know that, we have a family member coming to town to visit. They have a favorite restaurant. What are some healthy choices on that I can already make ahead of time? So I'm already prepared. So I think that may circle back around to what we were chatting and what your question was, but let me know if you have, we want to dive
Yeah.
deeper.
One of the tools that I found really helpful when I was practicing with clients was Gretchen Rubin uses this framework. She does the 4 tendencies, but she also has another framework about whether you're a moderator or an abstainer. And this was really key for me with certain nutrition clients. Like I felt like I had to know that information before I would build out their protocols or their meal plans or whatever. And it's just a very simple philosophy that certain people can have a little piece of chocolate cake every night and they can limit themselves with a certain amount, where there's people, and I fall into this category, where I have to be an abstainer. I'm the person that if there's something I love in the house, I'm not resting until it's gone. And yeah, it has to be out of the house. So I abstain. I just don't buy things. And for my mental health, that actually works better for me. Do you have any kind of practical tools that you use to kind of modify your approach to coaching your nutrition clients?
Yeah, you're right. And especially like you said, especially in situations where I have people who are like, if I buy an entire pack of Oreos, that Oreos is gone by the end of the night. Like I get it, right? Like that's real. So how do we put into practice? Because again, if we said, hey, you can't have that for the rest of your life, again, that first thing is you go through the sense of, well, I'm now never ever going to have that again, and I'm losing my piece of joy in that. So especially from that abstainer position. So we can say yes to the snack size bags. That's probably like a real life, like actual, like real count, like an actual real amount that you should be having in general. So I love to lean into the snack size bags and purchasing. And I know they're usually kind of at a price point that's a little bit more expensive, but I always tell people, if you really are craving an Oreo, get the snack size bag, say yes to that. But that's the only one you buy at the very end of the checkout. And whatever you have, you still said yes to it, but we're not saying yes to the entire package of it. So it's finding the ways. And again, like you said, meeting people where they are. Maybe it is saying absolutely no, we just aren't buying it. We aren't having it, the end. So how do we replace that with something good? So if you like Reese's peanut butter cups, how can we make a PB Fit with a dark chocolate that kind of creates that same healthy, option for you, where you feel like you're saying yes to it, but we're replacing it with healthy proteins and dark chocolate, so you still feel like you're still having that small win. So it kind of circles back into that mindful eating and the smaller portion controls, so that we can have those yeses. Because yes, I'm the person who wants to have a small scoop of ice cream every night. That's all I want. I just want my ice cream every night. That's all I'm asking. So yes, so I have it literally portioned out, and that's literally what I say yes to, right? So those are some of the small things that I like to do, and then also having them be a part of this process, like and managing with them, like it's their journey. So I usually do a lot of motivational interviewing. I ask them, what has worked for you in the past? What are some things that are successful? What are some things that we can already use the tools in your toolbox that you already own and know? So how do we partner those together so that we create a really cool collaboration where you feel like you're saying yes to the things you want to, but we're also making a healthier switch and transition there. So those are some of my top things that I usually do.
I love that. And what are some signs through your experience that it's time to no longer work with a client? Have you ever had to fire a client?
I have not had to fire a client. I have graduated some clients. So
I'm going to replace that terminology.
Yeah, graduated. I have graduated some, where basically, and especially, so specifically with wellness coaching in general, the goal of wellness coaching is to give you the tools and resources to be able to create that toolbox we were just chatting about. So how do I give you the information, the tangible things that you can put into play so that you can basically take the toolbox and soar? Like I want you to grow. I want you to take off and only come back when, the oil needs, changed, or, you know what I mean? Like a maintenance type of situation where you've encountered a new step or you want to grow to the next level. So I do a lot of graduation work with wellness coaching because that is usually designed to be about a 2 to 3 month package program where we give you tools, resources, accountability, and take off the training wheels so that you can roll. So that one I do graduate a lot of people out of. But for personal training and the nutrition coaching, both they usually kind of like to hang on. And like I said, I've actually been working with some of my clients now for 5 and 6 years. So yeah.
This is such an important conversation because I think a lot of nutritionists really struggle with, one, selling packages, and two, they also have a client retention problem.
Yeah,
like I love the standpoint of graduate your clients. I think it's like a nutritionist is kind of like a therapist. You shouldn't be stuck with them for life, but they should be the thing that you come back to as your life changes. And that this isn't really a mindset thing because we evolve with our clients, and typically
Absolutely.
we are in a niche that is relevant to our current life circumstances. So when we're able to retain our clients for the long term, and you clearly have, we're leveling with them. And this is what a big part of my message is with nutritionists and business is like, you should have an ascension path to work with your clients, right? Like there's definitely the kind of smaller packages or the smaller offerings that are kind of those one-off things. But the goal from a business standpoint is to have an ecosystem that keeps a client in there. So what are some of the ways that you've been able to have the client retention that you've had?
I truly, I try to say this the right way. I enjoy the relationship side of what I do. I enjoy getting to know the people on a, yes, obviously most relationships start with a client relationship, right? Like it's not, and I don't want to say surface level, but at the same time, it is, it's kind of a surface level place to start. Right. It's kind of that inner, that thing. But now, like a lot of my clients are more than that. Like I literally text some of my clients on the daily, literally on the daily. I'm like, hey, how's your day? Like, what are you doing? Like so for me, that is, if I had to say that's my golden thread, that is my golden thread. I love the connection. I love the community part of it. I love finding out who they are. When is their birthday? What's their dog's name? What is their kid's favorite food? Like I just getting to know them creates that genuine relationship. And that's where you build that know, like, and trust. And that's where people stay. They know, like I have a client of mine, I live so far away from her physically that she tells me everything. Like she's like, I know you don't know anybody in my district, so I'm going to share everything with you.
Love that.
So I'm like her lockbox. Like she can share some of the wildest things or whatever's going on, but creating that safe space that people can truly lean into, because not only do you build that know, like, and trust in the industry, like you've given them the information where they feel successful, healthy, things like that. You've given them that, but you've also given them the personal side of things. And I think that as we move into an age of AI, that's where people are going to thrive and really want to know that there's a human on the other side of this. Like they want to know that you're a real life person who also has a dog, who also has kids, who also, and I think that that's where we will really pivot the next few years, is creating that true human touch is really my take on that. Absolutely.
Yeah, I think this is the biggest message for 2026 is building relationships and cultivating community, even if you have like exclusively one-on-one clients. I'm always reminded, I think it was the movie The Wolf of Wall Street with Jonah Hill and Leonardo DiCaprio. And they're at the party and they're like vibing. And then there's that heading on the reel that says me and my clients or something like that. And that's totally me. I prefer to not be like your traditional business. Yes, I have very strong boundaries, but my clients automatically know that about me. But they also know that they can send me a funny reel and I'm going to support them and sending them funny reels to make their day better. And it's really human to human versus business to business. That's how I do things. I don't even have official contracts for some of my clients because I run a lot of my business based on a feeling, that intuition. And if I feel like I need to have a stuffy contract that somebody has to sign, I'm not working with my ideal client. Absolutely.
Right.
And this is what is going to differentiate people from now on because of AI. AI is taking away a lot of things, but it will never, ever be able to take away that human to human connection that is going to be people's it factor.
100%.
And if we, like for those of us having these online businesses, we have to be more intentional about how we build like the community. It can be a little bit of a challenge, but it's definitely something that I think you're stepping into beautifully, and you've got that relationship kind of framework built into your business, and that's going to be like the foundation for your success for sure. So we are going to leave Melissa's 6-week package that you can jump into at any point in time, link down below. We'll also put a link to the DECA, was it? Through Spartan?
Yeah. Yep.
Because I think this needs to happen. And if you and your family end up doing a Spartan race or one of the DECA options, make sure you tag Melissa in it so she can
definitely
see it as well too. And I'll leave your social media handle down below for people as well. But Melissa, is there any other little piece of advice you want to give the listeners before we sign off today?
Well, first, thanks so much. This is fun. And I love this. This is truly my passion. But truly, the last piece is find something that you love to do and embrace that so that health and wellness are a part of your everyday life and not a have to. It is, I'm excited to do.
Love that so much. Thank you for being here. I appreciate it.
Thank you so much.